I feel unlovable because I see myself as complicated and flawed. That's a lie that I tell myself, is that I fundamentally am unlovable as a person simply because today we're going to be talking about lies that I tell myself and why I'm literally actually crazy. This is kind of like a serious episode. Today I kind of want to talk about not the body side, but the insecurities that I have from pretty much everything else. So many of us are made to feel like we are wholly incomplete simply because we are not perfect. And I wouldn't even say that this bloomed from social media from me. This came from traditional media, things like books and movies and TV shows and such, where all of these characters with very attractive and hyper masculine or hyper feminine or all of these things, and they had all of these perfect qualities, and the people who exhibited pretty much like normal stuff were viewed as secondary characters or villains. I've faced quite a lot of criticism in my life for being, I guess, against the grain in a lot of senses. I was ostracized. For a very large portion of my life, I was ostracized by kids my age, and definitely took a toll. I have these very deeply rooted insecurities in me now that, you know, they force me to think these things that I know aren't true in my heart. I know that these things aren't true, but I can't help but tell myself that they are. I feel unlovable because I see myself as complicated and flawed. That's a lie that I tell myself quite a bit. I've had a lot of things that have happened to me that have changed my behaviors, and sometimes not for the best, right? We never all have it there. But I, like many other people, as I'm coming to realize, am a deeply flawed person, and I may not recognize this in my like day-to-day life, but reflecting back, I understand how flawed a lot of myself can be. A lot of my feelings of being unlovable, where they stem from, is again because I was really ostracized as a child. I had very few friends, and the ones that I did have were kind of social outcasts. And this semi remains true now, but it's not because I'm ostracized now. I've paved a lot of way, made a lot of progress. It's really hard to take 7 to 8 years of consciousness of being shown that I'm undesirable as a person, and then throwing that away and being like, oh, I'm happy and fulfilled with myself. I'm not fulfilled with myself. I'm very deeply insecure about the fact that, every time I've invited somebody into my life that I thought would really be able to love me on a meaningful scale, I've left disappointed and heartbroken very quickly. But I'm young, and I have to remind myself these are lies. Like, I am young. I am meant to, be presented with this pain, because without it, I'm not really going to be able to grow into something that's greater for me. But at the same time, it's really hard to move past that, right? I believe that people dislike me as a person. This stems back way farther than being ostracized. I am autistic, which is, surprise. It's like the boogeyman these days. A lot of people are really surprised when I tell them that. A lot of people are very surprised. And at first I was kind of like insulted by them. Like, what do you mean you're surprised? And I was like, I really don't care. I have high functioning autism. They used to call it Asperger's. Get why they got rid of that name. Jeez, whoever thought of that. But I have like high functioning ASD is what they call it now. And my life's fine, right? But I was really annoying in particular as a kid, like really annoying. Like, I look back, I'm like, I don't know how my parents didn't drown me as a child. Like, I genuinely kudos to you guys for putting up with me for that long. Because, oh my God, I was an annoying kid, right? I had zero idea what social manners were at all, right? And I believe that, that lie that I tell myself, I believe that people dislike me as a person. I think it stems from that, being told that, or not told, but shown that as a kid, where it was like I was, again, undesirable, even platonically. And it's so funny because I've grown out a lot of those behaviors now, and that's why people are so surprised when I tell them, like, hey, I'm autistic. Because, and by the way, I'm not fake autistic. I didn't diagnose myself on TikTok. I have a diagnosis from a doctor. Okay, if you're diagnosing your autism from TikTok, you are not a real autistic until you see a doctor. Sorry, that's really controversial for whatever reason. TikTok is not going to tell you that you are autistic. That's not real. That's not a thing. Okay? There have been a lot of periods in my life where a large majority of people have severely disliked me, and it drove me to build a fake version of myself that was designed to be popular so that I could be accepted by my peers. And that's a whole other conversation. I'm going to make a whole episode on it, because honestly, it was kind of crazy. It was crazy how I switched up and was like, now I'm this new person, completely different than before, and I had to sacrifice so much of myself to engineer this new person. But it carries over today that, I had this lingering feeling that, when people aren't responding to me, or when people fall out of touch with me, or when people have like a minor annoyance with me, that they dislike me as a whole person. And I know this isn't true, because I have a lot of people who absolutely adore me and they absolutely love me, right? Growing up, it's so hard to accept the fact that some people aren't going to like you. But it's something we have to grow up and realize, hey, not everyone is going to love you. Not everyone's going to like you. You're going to disagree with people, and it's going to drive you apart. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you are fundamentally unlikable as a person, right? I am very popular amongst a lot of people, and as I've been growing and maturing, I've slowly, luckily, been deconstructing this one. Hey, really quickly wanted to interrupt and tell you that if you are not subscribed, I would very much appreciate it. Nearly half the people who watch my channel aren't subscribed. I'm very small, so just one click of that button would really help my day. I'm trying to get to 50 subscribers, and if you aren't following me on Instagram, I do funny little skits on there. Again, I'm also trying to get to 50 followers on there, so if you would like to join and see behind the scenes content on my Instagram page and special exclusive content over there that I don't share on YouTube, make sure to go follow me on Instagram. Anyways, thank you for watching, and back to the video. I see myself as needy. I think I am needy. This isn't one that I've quite distanced myself from. I think I'm a pretty needy person because, I'm going to be honest, I've never really had my needs met. Emotionally, physically, spiritually, like all of these things culminate, and like I have never been given the satisfaction of having my needs met. And so I oftentimes attach myself very severely to people when I'm in these really big bouts of insecurity, because I am pretty needy. Okay, I am pretty needy. And I don't think that this is necessarily a bad thing to be needy. I don't think it's bad to be needy. I think it's bad when it's to the point of obsession, which is previously something I've participated in. But I think having needs does not necessarily mean you qualify for being a needy person. I don't think we should have to apologize for that. I feel that the people around me do not love me. This is the dumbest one on this list. The dumbest one on this list, because honestly, it stems right back to like the I believe people dislike me as a person. I have this like imposter syndrome in my head where I've convinced myself that other people genuinely are displeased to be around me. And wholeheartedly, I'll be completely honest, it's because I dislike myself. And it goes it goes back to a period of my childhood where I genuinely was a really bad person. Like, me now and me a year ago, 180, completely different people. I genuinely was the person that you strove not to be. I was an exact example of that for a very long time. And I am very proud of myself for being able to say that I've turned a lot of myself around to I'm actively working on bettering myself, and I think I've done a pretty damn good job at it. But for a very large period, a lot of people really didn't love me. They really hated me in a lot of circles because I genuinely was not a very lovable person. And I think I'm still feeling the residual effects of the reaction from the other people in my life. I think I'm still feeling those and internalizing them now that I'm able to truly process what happened. And it's hard going through that. It's hard knowing that at one point you were very unpopular to the point where people would celebrate on your downfalls. That is something like realizing you were the op. You were the op, right? Like, going through that, it's hard. I think I don't deserve respect. Toughie, because this one's still grinding through my head. I guess for a very large period of my life have been dismissed emotionally because of like those qualities from childhood I just talked about. Like, I think it's very easy to dismiss the very valid emotions that a child goes through, and I keep having to remind myself I should have never been treated that way. I should have never been treated as if I was somewhat of a burden, as somewhat of I was my emotions were not valid, because they were. And I still believe that they are, and I believe they weren't heard. And I believe a lot of what happened in my life prior was a direct result of me not having those emotional needs met as a person. And I think now, because I feel not taken seriously at all for a pretty long time, I feel now like I don't almost deserve respect because I haven't achieved the epitome of greatness. Which is stupid. It's stupid because I know so many people that I personally respect that are not perfect. Right? This is going to be one that's going to be hard to get past, because I know that out of all of these, it's probably the one that I struggle with the most right now, which sucks. It sucks so much, but I think, and I trust myself to know that I'm going to make my way through this. And the last, but certainly not least, I fear that I will never be loved without being taken advantage of. Ooh, this one hits a little too close to home. This one's a little raw. Where do I even begin with this, to be completely honest? I think that's pretty self-explanatory. I think there's been a lot of times where in my life where I have placed my trust in the wrong people, and it's almost like I purposely seek out these people that know how to, and this is a wonderful quote from Emma Chamberlain. It's almost like I seek out the people that are able to just like dig their fingers into every fold of my brain and just take hold. Do I regret any of those? No, because I've genuinely learned and grown out of them. Even if the initial reaction from them was bad, I think in the long run they've benefited me in ways that I think I'm still processing and getting to understand about myself, which is the thing I love most about myself. Here's a positive, that I am always finding out new things and moving forward. And, no matter how slow my life is, I'm always churning away and chipping at becoming a better version of myself. That's a positive affirmation for today. This isn't all doom and gloom. Huh? I told you this would be a serious episode, but it's not all doom and gloom. But I have yet to be shown in my life, I guess, and this is a bit unfair for me to say, because there are people who love me, like my friends and my family, and they don't take advantage of me. Obviously, that's not what I'm talking about. I love you guys. I love the outpouring of support that I've gotten from people. I love all of that, and I'm able to appreciate it. I'm talking about the romantic connections that I have with other people. I have never been shown a love that isn't somehow taking from me in a disproportional sense. I poured too much, or had to pour too much from my cup to even receive a shred of anything back. When we talk about lies that we tell ourselves, I like to think of them as stepping stones. I like to think of them as we are moving past these for a very specific reason. These things are here to teach us that we need to focus on these areas of our life. I'm very insecure for how I present as a person, and that's very obvious with the list I have just presented you. But that doesn't mean that it has to stay that way. It doesn't mean that I have to be here groveling for mercy just because I'm somehow, what did I say, complicated and flawed? Yeah, shut up, right? There's worse people out there than me that love themselves more. And I think that's the message I should be taking away, is that, and I don't know who needs to hear this, but bad people don't think about how they harm others. And me sitting down here and making this list of things that I feel like I'm imposing on other people shows me that I'm not a bad person. My old therapist told me that, and that was very transformative, because while bad people may have a little bit of like a self-conscious like this, when you're like worried, like, oh my God, did somebody like think of me that way? Or like, you're probably not a bad person. Yeah, maybe did you make mistakes and do bad things? Yeah, that doesn't necessarily mean you're a bad person. You're just a person.